Good day to you, and welcome to another quick training session on how to calculate waiting periods when we are working on the Ironbase system. So why do we need to go through this training? We actually realize that there's currently quite a lot of confusion when it comes to calculating these waiting periods. And we need to make 100% sure that everyone understands how to go about calculating a waiting period. You can just imagine how bad we will look if we tell a customer that the policy has lapsed when it actually did not lapse, or when we tell a customer that the policy is still active, but then it actually is lapsed. So very, very important that you understand 100% how to calculate waiting periods, and we are now going to take you step by step through this whole process. We're going to use actual examples from the Ironbase system to explain to you how it works. Now, once we've all been through this training and understand how it works, the end goal is to ensure that we are consistent and accurate in determining these waiting periods, each and every staff member, because then we will also adhere to those very important service standards that we need to adhere to when providing our customers our service. Before we go into the live system, I just want to quickly take you through the important steps to keep in mind when you want to calculate the waiting period. There are normally 3 steps that you need to take. First step is to always check the last payment date on the system. I will show you what that means. The second step is then to also check the payment day. In other words, which day of each month, the same payment day, if it's the first of every month that a customer pays, you need to check what date is that, because it's important. You're going to use this to do your calculations. Then you will go into the transaction history to start your calculations, and that will take place in accordance to that payment day, not the last payment date, but the monthly payment day. Then there's also another exception to the rule when it comes to debit orders. So if you pick up that you see from the transaction history that there has been more payments made than one in a same month, then you need to go into the status to check and see if there are possible reversals. And when you do that, you also need to check that in accordance to the latest payment date, which I will also show you on the live system, in order to allow you to calculate the waiting period correctly. I'm now in the Ironbase system, so I've entered the client's policy number. I will now click on main member, and then I will go into transactions, and this is the screen that we will be working on to determine the waiting period. Now remember what I said earlier on, very important. First step is always to check the last payment day, and then second step is to check payment day. Now these 2 dates will normally correspond with one another. What payment day tells you, and this is the one that you will always use when you do your calculations, it says the 25th. That means the customer must pay on the 25th of every month to stay up to date. They can pay earlier on, but it will always reflect you work on the 25th. Now the payment day here, the last payment day, was on the 25th of April. What I want to make very clear to you, because otherwise you're going to be very confused. Don't worry about these dates. Never ever worry about these dates. You're going to be working on the months here. Work on the months, because you're always going to work according to the 25th that you need to calculate. If we look at this example, you will see that there was a time lapse between October, when the last payment was made, and then there were months skipped, and February was the first time again when payment was made. Now in this instance, what you can pick up from here is that the policy have have lapsed. So October, let's say November, December, January, yes, so that has lapsed, and it was reinstated in February. That means payment has then been made. The waiting period started in February again. So February, March, April, that is why this policy is still active, because they reinstated the waiting period in this specific example. So remember, you're working according to these dates. The 25th, if you calculate every month, and you check when the last payment date was, and this covered on the 25th of. Here is another example. I have now entered another policy number. I will go into main member, open up the policy, then go into transactions, and this is the screen now to calculate the waiting period. Again, remember I said very important that you check the last payment day as well as the payment day, because you use this when you do your calculations. When you calculate, you check according to the 15th of every month to calculate the waiting period in this example. It will always correspond with one another, the 15th. It's only the month that's added here because this was the last month that payment was made according to the system. You now need to go and verify. Now if you look, you will see that this payment is made via debit orders, and you will see there are a number of payments that look like it's gone off against this policy. But we actually need now to go and investigate, and the way that you do that is by clicking on the status bar here to see, but this is now the reason why there are so many payments, because there were reversals, which at the end of the day means that this customer has actually paid on the last day, which was the 15th of December 2024. We are already in April 2025. So this means that the policy has lapsed because the 90-day period has expired. January, February and March, it's gone. We're already in April, so it means that this policy has lapsed. You don't have to look at these dates. You just look at the months to see when the last payment has been made, and you calculate according. This is the last example I want to take you through. So a new policy number has been added. I will now click on main member, open up the policy, go into the transactions page so that we can calculate the waiting period. Now you will see again, first of all, this customer has also added on a top-up plan, and this will always be the same dates, the 25th, and payment day again the 25th. According to this, the last payment that was made was for the 25th of February. So now let's take a quick look on what's happening here in the payment history. You can see that the customer has paid for October to November, and then came in to pay for December, and then for January, but now skipped February and March and only paid in April. So in other words, the January skip means that this payment has been made for February, the 25th of February. Now remember I said that we are in April, so if the customer doesn't pay again on the 25th of March, for 25th of March, the 25th of April and the 25th of May. After the 25th of May, if the customer did not pay after the 25th of May, this policy is going to lapse. I hope you understand this, because January was the payment and then only April, which means that month has been, the April payment was for February. which is still meaning that March and April payments are still in arrears. They are still outstanding. And if the customer doesn't come to pay again on the 25th of May, if he pays after the 25th of May, then this policy is going to lapse and they will have to reinstate the waiting period because of that. I really hope you understand what I was trying to explain to you when it comes to the calculations, and that it makes more sense now to you. I would also like to encourage you that if you still feel that you are not sure, please don't work on what you think, work on what you know. If you don't know, you are welcome to call the admin department here at head office so that they can also explain to you. And if you can't get hold of them, you can also talk to Molly Mawila at the training department to assist you with the calculations. But I think it is quite straightforward after this training video. I hope things are making more sense and it's now easy for you to calculate these waiting periods. Have a wonderful day further, and God bless you.